Welcome to For Real. It's time to communicate and get real about relationships with your host, Liesel, Daisley, and psychologist, Krisnan Hurdle. So join us for real. Hello and welcome once again to For Real, your relationship talk show. I'm your host, Liesel Daisley, and joining me once more is our psychologist and life coach, Krisnan Hurdle. Welcome, Krisnan.
Hi, welcome, Liesel.
Pleasure to have you as always.
Thank you very much, and pleasure to have you also. Thanks for joining us once again on For Real.
Yes.
What are we talking about today, Liesel?
Well, today is a topic that I think concerns everybody. Mm-hmm. Everybody has experienced this at one point, even maybe their dog, their cat, maybe even their canary.
Love?
No, the opposite, heartbreak.
Oh boy.
At some point in everybody's life, they would have experienced heartbreak. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So I think that it is a topic that everybody's curious about. In particular, how do you survive heartbreak, especially maturely, because not everybody can handle it maturely. So we want some tips on how we can maturely survive heartbreak, if that's possible.
All right, I'm going to try to do this as solemnly as I can.
Yes.
But it's a serious situation. When we have heartbreaks, it can be very, very uncomfortable. It can cause people to lose their appetite. Mm-hmm. It can cause people to obviously be very hurt and want to have revenge.
Yes.
It can cause us to, even follow with other friends, because we may have other friends who might be communicating with our former partner, and it might cause the damage to other relationships as well.
It's true.
So in the whole process of surviving a heartbreak, we definitely want to recognize that we want to accept it, first of all. Right. We want to accept that it's happened. Sometimes it's hard to accept that our partner has a choice that they can make, whether they have moved on, whether the heartbreak has come from them moving to another relationship, or simply the cessation, the cutting of the relationship that we have. We want to accept that it's happened. We also want to not do behaviors where we're following them and kind of checking in on them.
Yes.
We want to...
Especially without their knowledge.
Yeah. We don't want to be stalking. Nope. We don't want to be... Because sometimes we can find ourselves going on WhatsApp and social media, checking to see what they are doing, see who they're with.
Yes.
Because what that just does is keep the partner that we have parted ways with, it keeps them in mind, and it also causes us to be suspicious, causes the person to be suspicious of what they're doing. Yeah. It may not be for any reason that, it may not be somebody else, it might not be, and you might begin to read things into other actions and other people they're with.
Okay.
So we don't want to be tracking them and keeping tabs. Yeah. We also want to manage our emotions, because in some cases in a breakup there's denial, in cases there's anger and resentment that can happen, and we want to be able to keep in check how we feel. Yes, it hurts, but we want to be able to let go of these negative emotions which we may be feeling, especially as it's fresh. But we want to be able to find healthy ways of spending our time, passing our time, maybe get involved in other activities, get involved in other routines, or return to routines of things that we used to do, which we found fulfilling, which we found captivating, and get back to some of those healthy things that we used to do. Of course, we don't want to be using alcohol or drugs to cover or to recover from heartbreak. We also don't want to get involved in rebound relationships.
Correct.
Because sometimes we make decisions that cause us further hurt.
Yes. And lots of regret.
and you can figure what some of those might be. But actually, for real, you can find yourself getting the other partner pregnant.
Yes.
Or we might find, or getting pregnant. You might find, contracting an STD. You might find that that person can be involved as well, and that they can also make a decision to stick to their partner, and we might find ourselves in a confused kind of situation where they don't really want to commit and we want more.
You're caught up in a triangle.
So we don't want to be doing that. We want to get involved in healthy friendships. We want to find ourselves in a space where we can interact with people who mean well for us, who are genuine about what they, who have genuine motives. Because you might find if you're in a situation where you are in the person of the opposite sex or a person of the relationship that you are in, your relationship preference, then you don't want to be finding yourself emotionally attached to people that you might be confiding with.
Right. And because I would imagine too, at that stage, you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
So you have to be really careful now whose shoulder you cry on.
Yeah.
Because that shoulder could end up being somebody that you may have a fling with, like you said, a rebound kind of situation.
Or tries to take advantage of.
Or try to take advantage of the situation, absolutely. So you have to know, I guess, that you're in a vulnerable state. So you still kind of have to be sensible when going crying on other people's shoulder.
Yeah. So I think the watchwords are watch your emotions, watch your behavior, watch your movement, the spaces you find yourself in.
And that includes social media.
Which goes back to, keeping tabs and being in an unhealthy physical space where you're encouraged to do things that you don't want to be doing or you really ought not to be doing.
Right.
And also heal. Find a way. You have to heal. Of course, recovering from a heartbreak, it will take some time. But we want to let it have its process.
Right.
We don't want to be moving on or pretending to ignore or overlook it. Very important not to do.
You mentioned something very key there that I'm curious about. Time. So how long does it take or should it take to get over heartbreak?
There's no set time, Liesel.
Okay.
There's no set time. Some people, because of the dynamic of the relationship, maybe it was marriage, maybe there were children involved, maybe, it was a first partner or a very, very, very significant partner where you felt a very deep connection with. And the dynamics of the relationship can impact on the length of time it takes to recover.
Okay.
And I really don't want to put a time to it, but you don't want to still be grieving. It's important to accept. It's important to admit what has happened and to seek to, one, get healing, but also recover from the relationship. It does not mean that you have to move on. That's not recovering means, that you have to go to another one. But it means that you have to feel like there's no longer a load, no longer a burden.
Right.
And every time, if you see the person or if you go into certain spaces that you were in, you feel like you're reliving the heartbreak all over again. That can tend to happen. So we want to feel like emotionally there's a fresh wind. There's a sense of relief and a sense of ease. People like to say, well, what's the least amount of time? I really don't think that there's a least amount of time either. Of course, if you end a relationship today, a week, a month later, you might have had someone in your life, but you want to give yourself time to really logically, reasonably think through the situation.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of a number, a week or a day isn't enough.
Certainly.
But you want to be able to process it, and process it means thinking it through. Think through what are the what you've gained from the relationship. That's one thing you want to do. What you've gained from the relationship, what you've learned, what you've benefited from the relationship, and also what it has taught you about yourself.
Good advice.
Right? And those are the things that you should be working through in the aftermath of the breakup.
That's very good advice. Thank you. Now we know that men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Two different worlds.
Completely different. So do men recover different from women? Because, we have different thought processes. Women are more emotional. So do we recover differently?
I want to address that issue of emotional.
Okay.
Women are more expressive, and women tend to be more feely.
Right.
I like to call it feely.
Feely, okay.
Right?
Feely.
Yeah, they can feel things. They feel things. They're a lot more sensitive to softer feelings, to subtle feelings.
Okay.
But men feel them as well, and I think we definitely have to do away with the idea that men don't feel things.
So men, I guess, hide their feelings a lot.
They can bury them,
suppress.
they can suppress them, and they can want to make it appear to others that they're not hurting, that they're not feeling it.
Right.
But we do.
Yeah, because men don't ever appear to be feely.
Some men, yeah, some men.
Yeah.
But by and large, generally, there's that impression.
Yes.
And so we both feel the hurt. Do we recover a similar way? I think that, of course, men can tend to suppress. We find is said in certain circles that women like to always pretend like nothing has happened, so they go out with their friends and they start talking with a new guy as though, they aren't feeling anything.
Okay.
Or especially if you're in contact with a former partner, you want to act like if I'm great and nothing has happened. It also depends on how the relationship ended as well.
Right.
Because if depending on who broke up or how the relationship ended, then there's a difference in how they recover.
Yeah.
And how each person recovers. But by and large, it definitely takes time for healing to occur, and a person might not even recognize that they need to heal. Because they may not have accepted the significance of the relationship, or in some cases they may not have even valued the relationship, which is another issue.
Okay.
If a person has not valued the relationship, if it really was nothing to them, then it seems that they move on faster, because the kind of depth that they felt in the relationship wasn't that significant. But women, of course, as being feely and emotional, as you call it, they would tend to they tend to cry, they tend to need space, and
lots of Haagen-Dazs.
Yeah. So women might recover by eating a lot. Men might recover from drinking a lot. Women might recover from going and socializing with her friends, spending more time with her friends.
Right. Crying with the girlfriends.
Crying with the girls. Guy might spend more time at the club or the sports club, or they might spend more time at the bar or even going to the strip club. Some men. Some, yes. Or having rebound relationships. So either way, both people feel it. That's the point I want to make here. Both people feel it. Again, depending on the quality of the relationship, the dynamics of the relationship, people respond differently.
Okay. Now, you kept saying a word that I hear coming through, which is heal. How do you heal?
First of all, personal introspection. Accepting that something has happened, going through the stages of the breakup. There's the denial, there might be the avoidance, maybe some anger, resentment, attempting to negotiate, try to recover the relationship, again depending on the dynamics of the relationship. But then after you have or in the process of acceptance, then you go inside and you look at what did I do? What was my responsibility in the whole situation?
That's key.
Yeah, what did I contribute to the relationship being to that place? In some cases, you perhaps should not have been in the relationship in the first place.
It's true.
In other cases, it was, you made all attempts to initiate and to reconcile, but the person wasn't willing. Some people can also be in denial about their contribution to the problem. So it's important to really, truly be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And then after that, you might need to go to counseling, professional counseling. Maybe before that, talk to some friends and get an honest, preferably unbiased as much as possible, or objective as possible opinion from friends, because your friend might tend to side with you.
True.
So try to get an objective friend to give your true opinion, which means you must be honest about what you've done.
It's true.
With them. But if there's still a level of hurt and dysfunction in terms of being able to function on a daily basis, do your regular activities, you find that after maybe weeks you're still not eating and you always find yourself thinking about them, you're not sleeping, you can't manage to get to work, it's creating anxiety or even feeling levels of depression, then you might need to get counseling, professional counseling.
Okay.
And in the midst of everything, acknowledgement and acceptance.
Yeah.
It isn't all your responsibility. Both partners play a role in the situation being what it was, but you also have to accept what you have done in the relationship. I must accept what I've done in the relationship and come to terms with that first of all. And then you also recognize that you can't control the other person, especially in the case where you wish that the relationship would continue or could be continued or reconciled.
Yeah.
You must accept that you can't make a person do what you want them to do. Right. So you must be willing to let them go and find a way to move on, which might be whether it is, again, finding new routines, finding purpose, finding things that you love and enjoy, finding your sense of drive.
Yeah.
Whether it is some people might get caught up in work, some people might get involved in self or personal development. They might go on study more.
Yes. But
you want to find healthy ways and not rely on alcohol and not rely on unhealthy, disruptive or long-term disruptive behaviors.
Sounds like really good advice. Thank you so much, Krisnan, once again. Well, there you heard it. Acceptance and finding time for yourself again. Sounds like solid advice that we can use if, we ever encounter heartbreak. So thank you once again so much for joining us on For Real. I hope you enjoyed our conversation here today. I hope it was useful. If not for you, maybe somebody that you know that would have experienced heartbreak. You can pass on these tips to them or share the link so that they can take a look at our show today. We encourage you to tell your friends about our show. It was such a pleasure having you, and we look forward to you joining us once again on For Real.